Hey guys, David here, Breeze Flippers. It's a new week. Last week ended up a lot better than the few weeks before, so very happy with it. Not crazy, not fourth quarter results, but steady, and right now steady is good. This morning though, I woke up to something interesting. I had 29 offers to send out. That's the highest number I've had in weeks. So I thought that was kind of interesting, and I'll probably tie this all together to what I'm thinking is going on here. But we did have some sales this morning, and believe it or not, I did sell a Funko. And this is not just any Funko, guys. This is a Funko Pop Bleach Ichigo signed by Johnny Young Bosch, and it is Beckett certified. I bought this at a garage sale in Augusta, Georgia last year when I went up to visit our daughter. I bought about $350 worth of items. I think my buy cost on all of the items together, if you look at it, was about $3 each. And this one was part of it. There were two signed pops. This one was the certified pop. So I sold it for $119 with free shipping. So I thought that was kind of interesting to have that kind of a sale. Tells me a couple things, but I think this is kind of cool that we're having these kind of sales. And I also sold a Russian book. And I know this is kind of an odd thing, guys, but I was at a garage sale, not a garage sale, it was actually an estate sale, and it was just at the end of last year, so around December. I walked into this sale, and they had stacks of Russian literature books, and this one is The Witcher in Russian. And I thought this was kind of cool, and I stacked them all up, and I said to the guy, I go, can you make me a good deal on this? He goes, yeah. He goes, I didn't think anybody would buy these. He goes, the lady was Russian, and she had to move back to Russia. And I thought, well, I said, no. I said, they're unique, and I said, that's why I want them. And I had looked up a couple of them, and they had some good comps, right? So a lot of the comps were sales from a foreign country into the U.S., which I thought that was interesting. And what made me think was, well, if they're looking for that and they're paying that kind of money to get this book into the US because they want a Russian language book, why not sell it locally here? So anyway, I picked them all up, and I have sold a couple of them. So this was the next one I sold. I got $9.49 for it. It'll get $5.99 shipping. It is shipping stateside. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then yesterday we sold, and I'll pop this up on the screen because it's already shipped out, 1991 Racing Collectibles, number 15 Ricky Rudd, and number 35 Dick May from Motorcraft. So these were little die-cast cars. Sold them for $9.59, got $5.99 shipping. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And the signed Ichigo is kind of important. That's discretionary spending, guys, right? Nobody woke up this morning and go, I need an Ichigo signed Funko Pop, right? They don't do that. So that's want money, guys. And that's kind of cool to see because honestly, and the 29 offers that I sent out, I think it's another signal. And those 29 offers were not just on things that were like necessary or, you know, that they needed. These were all on collectibles. They were comics. They were collectible Hot Wheels. There was a bunch of stuff that was in there, Disney collectibles. All those offers that I sent out this morning were on graded comics and regular comics. So it was all kind of things that nobody needs, but obviously people want. So I think that's a good sign. I think buyers are active, but I do think that they're going to be negotiating a little bit more. And that's not a bad thing. That's just part of it because I have had so many lowball offers. But I think that's part of where the economy is right now. And I think that kind of tells us something about where we're at, right? So I don't know what's going on in the economy. I think, you know, we're early in 2026. Inflation isn't screaming as loud as it was in 2022. It's still there. We still see it, especially when we go to the grocery stores. But it seems like it's been discretionary spending has been a little uneven, right? This week alone, we've seen tariff headlines again back into the conversation. So I think that adds a little bit of uncertainty, and you know, and consumers will shift their behavior a little bit based on the news, right? So anytime media is going to drive a lot of the behaviors. But historically, if we look at what happens during these times, like big purchases will slow. You get a lot more increase in negotiations, which is why I'm getting a ton of low offers, and you know, the value hunting rises. And look, this makes sense because I'm doing the same thing. I'm going online. I'm not paying full value for anything. If I see something I want, I'm sending them an offer. That's just kind of the way I look at it. Unless it's absolutely such a good deal, I can't pass it up. So I don't think that the collectible market's disappearing. I think that they're adjusting a little bit. I don't think people are going to stop buying, as evident by this. I think they just become more strategic, right? So instead of $1,000 impulse purchase, they're maybe making $120, $150 sales or purchases, right? Or they're going to be sending offers. So that kind of explains, I think, maybe the stronger week or the spike in the offers that we're getting, or the more negotiation behavior. So I think that makes a lot of sense. The resale market, I don't think is collapsing. I think it's just a recalibration, guys. But it's some good news, right? I could sell a $119 Funko. I mean, I'll take it. So anyway, now, if you haven't paid attention, and honestly, this one slipped by me. I didn't know this was even going on until I heard it happen. But Depop has been officially sold to eBay by Etsy. So I don't sell on Depop, but I think this matters to all of us. If you don't sell on Depop or not, I think it matters. And I think the look at the quick idea about this is that, first of all, Depop launched in 2011. It was a British company, I believe. It was really built around the Gen Z resale culture, right? They were really trying to get to that younger market. They specialize streetwear, vintage wear, and they're really a social media first social market, right? That's really what they were trying to do. Etsy bought them in 2021 during the peak of the e-commerce. And I think they held on to them. And I think Etsy was just trying to, establish a different market hold. I think that made a lot of sense maybe at that time. They did pay, I believe, 4 or 6 billion. It was quite a bit, but they sold it for a lot less. They took about a $400 million loss selling it to eBay. But why does eBay want it? Well, I think eBay's kind of restructuring their resale structure. I mean, think about it, right? They're looking at their positioning. I mean, this recently they bought, last year, a year before, they bought Golden Auctions, which is the very high-end collectibles. They've expanded their authentication services, which again, collectibles or high-end stuff. And now Depop, they're trying to grab that youth market. And that makes a lot of sense for them because they're expanding vertically. So I think, you think about it, they've kind of captured the 3 levels of the market, right? You got the entry culture, which is the Depop people. These are young people getting into reselling or, buying. They're going to do that on Depop. You've got your mainstream, which is your standards, all of us that are on eBay, old, young, old, anyway. And so we're all the standards, right? So this is the mainstream resale. And then you got your high end, which is golden. So I think that's an interesting strategic layering that eBay's doing. So is it a smart move? I think so. It'll be interesting to see what they do with it and how they manage it, right? Is it going to just still be Depop, or is it going to pick up some of the eBay rules and such? That'll be interesting to see what happens. But so I think that, the reason that they invested in this, and it's a big investment, I think that tells you that they believe that the secondary market is really strong. And that kind of ties back into what I saw this morning. 29 offers are sent out. Buyers are still here, guys. They're just negotiating a little bit harder. So, all right, I want to make this official. So every week I want to talk a little bit about one day during the week. And I said we're going to talk about comics. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. But I kind of want to talk about the movers, the media, and maybe a little bit of momentum, right? Just talking about what's going on in the marketplace. I want to make this a reoccurring kind of segment because this is the stuff that I'm watching. You might find it interesting, you might not, but I just think that it's something that I'm watching, and I'm trying to be more strategic about the things that I'm buying and what I'm reselling. I'm still going to buy the everyday stuff. I'm still going to buy the digital cameras, all the things that I know sell very quickly. But when it comes to like collectibles, stuff that I'm not collecting myself necessarily, but stuff that I'm reselling, I want to be a little bit smarter about it. Because it's not, just about what's sold for us, but it's really about what's moving in the broader collectible ecosystem. I mean, let's be honest, there's a lot of stuff out there. So one of the things that again, just kind of thinking about the movers that I'm watching this week, offers are rising. So we're getting a lot more offer activity, sending out offers, getting them. It seems like my graded comics are getting a lot of attention, which is great. Obviously the signed collectibles, I've actually sent out some offers on some signed comics. So that's kind of interesting. And video games, still big. I just, had a sale the other day of 5 or 6 games. Sunday night, the guy contacted me and wanted to buy 5 games, and he wanted me to adjust the shipping on them. And I said, yeah, that's no problem. So games are selling, right? So when you start looking at this, I think there's some momentum forming a little bit. I mean, it's not moving fast. It's not, you know, like blowing up, but it's moving. And I think that's a good sign, right? And if I tie this into comics, I think it's kind of interesting too. Has anyone seen the new crossovers that are coming out? I just saw another one that was a Spider-Man, Superman, Spider-Man, and then there's a Batman, Deadpool, and I saw, was it not Image? It was Invincible, and I think DC, and I can't remember which one. But interesting crossovers, and we got another crossover coming out this summer. It's Sonic the Hedgehog and Godzilla, which I'm a Godzilla fan. I love that kaiju movement and everything, so I think that's kind of cool. I purchased the I think it was Godzilla Destroys the Marvel Universe. I love that series, so I was reading some of that. So it's just kind of fun stuff, but it's interesting that this is kind of happening. I think we're seeing more of it right now than we've ever seen. Now, we've seen crossovers in the past, Marvel versus DC, all that stuff, but they were short-lived. And then I think it's interesting, though, when they come about. I think we're seeing this because the publishers are getting smart, because again, this kind of ties back to collecting. I think that they're getting smart and they're looking at it saying, okay, we have got to stack our audiences. And what's the best way to stack an audience? You got your Marvel fans, you got your DC fans, you put it together a book, and boom, now you're stacking your audience, right? You're getting 2 intellectual properties, you're getting 1 book, and you're basically attracting the 2 different buyer bases. Now, not necessarily is it always going to work, right? But you're going to get those, because there's going to be people just like they're Godzilla fans, they're Sonic fans, and they're probably going to buy that book coming out in July, I think it is, this summer. So I think it's interesting what the publishers are doing. Now, whether it's good or bad, whether you like it or don't like it, I mean, that's up to you. But I think it's an interesting concept, because I'm just seeing more of it. If you guys follow Cover Price or any of the sites where you see a lot of comic news, I've seen a lot of crossovers coming in there. And some of them are doing fairly well, some of them not, you know. So I don't know that, I'm not entirely sure that there would be books that I would buy for investments, or, you know, try to do that, because I don't think there's that many of them. I have seen some pretty high priced Superman, Spider-Man ones. Not that I would ever pay that much, but it's interesting. And it's something that if you wanted to, maybe you could capitalize on it short term, like grab them, because I don't know how many they're going to publish. That's the whole thing. But, you know, let me know, guys. Are you grabbing those books up? Are you finding anything in those? Are you looking for these crossovers? What do you think of them? Are they good investments, or are they not good investments? I'd love to hear your opinion. So if we kind of look at momentum, we're kind of connecting everything together. Like I said, guys, buyers are negotiating more. Platforms are reinvesting in resale, which is kind of cool. I like to see eBay doing that. And if we're seeing these publishers are stacking their IPs, and there are more offers coming in, I think we're in a really selective market right now, which is kind of interesting, right? I don't think it's dead. I don't think it's booming. We all see that. But I definitely think it's selective. So, and I think, you know, when you're in a selective market, really, honestly, you've got to, knowledge is going to beat the hype, right? You've got to have some knowledge about what you're doing. You've got to make sure that you're positioning right, because you got to overcome emotion. You can't go on that buy and just say, oh my God, I got to have that book because I'm going to resell it or I'm going to do whatever. Emotion can't lead it. You've got to position yourself better, and you got to be patient, because you got to see what's going to happen, right? So I don't know. That's kind of where I'm trying to operate right now, because I am trying to be a better student of what I'm buying, and especially in the comics and collectibles, because I buy a lot and I sell a lot. We had a great auction last night, by the way, on Dibdit, DIBDIT.com. Guys, if you haven't come over there yet, come check us out. But we had a great auction last night. It was selling a bunch of Spider-Man, some mutants, the Uncanny X-Men, and a bunch of X-Men books. So a bunch of stuff last night went out. It was really cool. So come over and check us out. But I think, you know, as far as what it means, like I said, for me, this whole market thing right now is I'm really, really focusing on looking for these books that are, you know, that are historically relevant. I'm trying to find the really good keys, right? And that's one of the things I'm looking at. I'm not being quick at sending out for grading. I will tell you that in the very beginning, when I was sending books out for grading, I was just like almost, I don't know. I just wanted to send a book out to grade it, right? Didn't really think about what I was getting back and why I was doing it. That's why I have some books from 2 years ago that I sent out that I'm discounting the heck out of right now, because I want to move them, because I know that at that time they might have been significant for that moment, but they aren't now. So, and that's something you got to kind of think about. Is this book going to hold weight for a long time, right? You got to look and see what the trends have been and how it's been working. So I think that you have to only send out for grading when it makes sense. And that's been one of the struggles that I'm working on right now. I'm looking at a lot of books and I'm really evaluating where have they been, how much they've sold for, what's the trend, right? Are they up? Are they down? Have they been steady? And that's kind of what I'm looking for. For those books that I'm going to send in specifically for my flipping to invest, that's what I got to look at. So I think, that's where grading really matters. If there's something that's going to hold value and that you're going to be able to get something out of it. And also, the timing of the submission makes a difference, because there may be there's some big Marvel movies that are coming out soon. So I think some of those comics, if we get them in time, we could hit that market. That might work. So again, speculation, but there's some media driven sources behind that, right? So media does drive a lot of purchases and sales. So we'll have to see what's coming. And I think that might be an interesting thing to look at. So, and a lot of these guys, a lot of these books, they all become, some of them, that's what the hardest thing is, looking at it. Cause I do a lot of dollar bin diving, and I see some good books in there, but I don't think they're ever going to be really big. They're not going to be significant down the road. So anyway, but they're fun to collect. So you put them in a collection, or you sell them off, or you put them together, or group them up, or it's been kind of fun to do that. So anyway, not a lot to say today, guys. Just been kind of looking at numbers. I've been really crunching some numbers, trying to figure out what I'm getting ready to send in, what I'm getting ready to do, and trying to keep our business on track. And, like I said, the economy up and down. Anybody that has a 401k probably don't want to look too closely at it right now. Ignore it for a few more months and let it go back to what it was. It took a bit of a hit this last market a couple of days ago, or whenever it was. So, but I think it's all going to level out at some point. I think that we're going to keep seeing this. I'm kind of hoping that I keep seeing the offers coming, so I keep sending them. And I don't mind getting the low ball offers. I will just send back an offer and say, no, I'm not going to take that. Especially if something that just got listed. It literally just listed yesterday, and they're already sending me a 50% off offer. And most of the time, again, those are either people that are hunting specifically to get the lowest deal, or they're reselling that stuff and they're trying to buy it low. That just makes a lot of sense. But, anyway, I noticed I had about 4 of those offers come in yesterday on games. So that's where it's kind of interesting where they're finding that. So anyway, I think the resale economy is still out there, guys. I think there's some recalibration going on, but it's good to see that sales are at least staying on track right now. And hopefully this week keep moving. I wish I had more of these, but this one did sit for a long time. But it is cool. Let's be honest. It's kind of neat. And it says on it, "I will protect you," and it's Ichigo. I think that's saying that right. If somebody will correct me if I don't say it right. But anyway, very cool. And it is Beckett certified, which is nice. So I'll have to put some bubble wrap around that and get that sent off today. But, and then, the Russian book, guys. I don't know what to say about that. I just honestly think, in my head, I thought I think these are going to sell. And I have sent out offers on a lot of Russian books. So, and if I look at the name of the person, I'm not going to repeat it, but, their first name is Anastasia. So they are Russian. I can tell with the spelling of their last name, they're definitely Russian. So, so you're providing a service. It's kind of cool. Not a collectible in any sense, but you're providing a service. They're getting their language books in the US for a little cheaper price. This book in particular, when I looked it up, there were several of them that were sold from overseas to here that were very expensive. So makes a lot of sense, guys. Anyway, tell me what's going on with you guys. What are you guys thinking about this economy? What are you guys thinking about? What's your strategy right now for what you're buying and what you're selling? Are you buying just a lot of you just quick flips? Are you looking for stuff that might be down the road that will be, sell really well? Are you doing like me, trying to be more strategic in your comics? What are you buying? So I am working really hard at looking at it. Right now, I'm not buying a lot of comics that I'm going to grade. I haven't really gotten to that point yet. I'm going to go out this weekend and hit some comic book stores and take a look at some higher end comics that I might be able to grade and do something with. But right now I'm just going through my stuff, which I have a bunch. So I didn't realize sometimes how much I have. So I've been going through that and looking at the books I'm going to clean, and some of those I'm going to get sent off because they do have either some significance or I know that they will resell. So, and I still got the books that I got to get listed. I got them all photographed. I just got to get them listed this week. So crazy busy week ahead trying to get all this stuff done. But that's kind of what's going on with me, guys. Tell me what's going on with you. Leave some comments. I appreciate you guys so much. Get a chance, like and subscribe. And we'll be talking to you later this week. I'm David. We'll see you.